Friend. All right, guys, welcome back to the online key store HearthStone League. We have just had Exploding Cow versus Spo, and Spo was able to take the win for SK Gaming. So, up next, we've got London Conspiracy's very own Raven versus a very popular player and streamer. Who everyone should know him by now. It is the master of Priest himself. It is going to be Zealot. So what can you tell me about Zealot? Is someone I've followed like briefly and someone I've watched, but I don't know a tremendous amount of about his competitive history. So what can you tell me about that?
Zetalot actually became known because he was one of the only players to play Priest to high legend consistently. And I mean, if you think about how hard how hard of a time Priest has in all these tournaments, and you actually see a guy who continuously play Priest, does well with it. I'm not really aware of any, tournament finishes that Zetalot has, but I do believe he's more of the ladder player. And mostly all the ideas that we have for Priest come from him, actually. And yeah, I mean, that's you're gonna see, you guys at home are gonna see that Zetalot is a really nice Priest player. He has his Priest banned, as you predicted, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I just know that Zetalot is a pretty solid Priest player. I imagine he knows how to play other classes as well, but he's famous for his Priest skills.
Yeah,
And
Zealot's really one of the last Priest players in the competitive scene right now. Priest has had such a hard time in this meta, and not just specifically this meta alone. It's been a struggling class for a very long time. Even players like Amaz doesn't really bring Priest to tournaments anymore. The only player that really stands out to me that does bring Priest is Calento. Calento seems to love the class. He seems to do a lot with it. But we have a few other players. Kibler has picked up Priest now and then. Gara is another player who's like experimented with Priest. But Calento and Zetalot are the two last ones, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Ignite had Priest in the Seed Story Cup, if I'm not mistaken. And, well, that didn't go very well for him because of a mistake that he made. But the thing is, Priest is, for the guys who believe in the class, for the guys who put a lot of work in the class. And, it can certainly be rewarding, but at the same time, it punishes you a whole lot if your hand is not, streamlined for the, the matchup that you're facing. And I do believe that this is a consensus to the fact that you can make Priest beat anything. Like if you say I'm gonna play as a Priest player, I'm gonna play against a control deck, then okay, I'm gonna load up my deck with all sorts of counters. Priest has those, and the same goes for an aggro deck. Now the important thing is at a tournament like this, your Priest is gonna have to go basically into the unknown. Like you do not know what you are going to face, so that makes it really hard for the Priest player, actually. And I don't know, have you played much Priest yourself? Like, what's your experiences with Priest?
My main experience with Priest comes from the more consistent deck lists. The problem with Priest as a class, it's a reactive class. You need to react to your opponent in order to utilize a lot of your abilities, and a lot of their main clears come from combos like Organized Soul with Circle and stuff like that. And I just didn't like its inconsistency. So when Undertaker Priest was quite popular, I was enjoying that because it didn't have the inconsistencies Control Priest had before. And another one with Grinder Priest, using those Death Lords, those Light Bombs, it just felt more consistent. It wasn't relying on you drawing two cards to make a board clear. So I liked those variations of Priest more, whereas the more traditional Control style ones, I've never really taken a liking to because of the reactive play style, or because you have to tech it to beat a certain archetype. It wasn't as simple as making it like you said. Priest has answers to everything, but the problem is you need to kind of know what you're facing in order to build your Priest around what you're playing. So it was a lot of guesswork as well, which is what I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, and you get those games where your hand doesn't line up well. Like if you're playing against an aggro deck, if you don't get those crucial one drops, if you do not get that board clear with the Holy Novas or whatnot, you might have you might have basically lost the game based on that. Also, it's very hard to utilize a hero power that I do believe is the weaker hero power that we have at the moment. Like, because you cannot stack health, you can stack armor if you're a warrior, but basically, if your opponent is doing nothing, then you are doing nothing because, as you said, priest is a reactive class. So that being said, priest was banned for Zetalot, so there's that. And Zetalot has a warrior in his list, so Raven valuing, Zetalot's experience more than more than banning warrior, which is a class that is winning a lot nowadays. Moving further on, Raven has Warlock, Hunter, Mage, and Rogue available to him, and Zetalot has Warrior, Druid, Warlock, and Hunter. What do you think of those guys' lineups? Do you see a favorite among them?
I think the Warrior is always an important deck in Conquest at the moment because of the power that not only Patron brings, but Control Warrior is starting to pick up a lot more popularity because it's a good way to counter Patron Warrior. The kind of its own class counts its own class, very strange. But with kind of Control Warrior coming back into the swing of things, Druid makes itself back to deal with Control, and that's how kind of the meta works. But looking at Zetalot's lineup, let's just say, it's tough. I think Zetalot's lineup is probably stronger because he does have access to Warrior, Warlock, Hunter, which are the top 3 classes right now. Druid can have consistency issues. I'm not a big fan of the class personally, but that's just me. Here's an interesting statement Frodan made the other day.
Okay.
Rogue is in an awful spot right now. It's a really bad deck, and it's kind of hard. It has only one line it can go, Oil Rogue, that's it, which kind of limits the class. Do you believe that? Do you think that's true?
I mean, Rogue for me is a class that gets, at the moment, it gets countered because, Patron Warrior exists. Like, all these HearthStone, Acidic Swampus are going to be in decks that weren't supposed to be in there. Like, you might see, Priest actually using, Ooze and HearthStone. Like, I know Zetalot was using that because I was watching his stream. And the thing is, that actually makes it harder for Rogue. So because decks are trying to counter the top deck, which is Warrior, Patron Warrior, it actually makes it really hard for Rogue to get a solid footing. Like, it's very hard for Rogue to beat for example, it's very hard for Rogue to beat Warlock if you have Acidic Swampus in your Warlock. Although I guess that's not that common since, Warlock has already good time against Patron Warrior. But I do think that Rogue, yeah, as you said, has only one way it can go. It's not necessarily bad because Oil Rogue is basically, a deck that plays a cookie cutter deck, if you want to call it. So, like, you play all the best cards that the Rogue class has, and it escalates. Like,
Yeah,
basically.
It's a tough question, but we're actually going into the first game here, Raven versus Zetalot, and we're going to actually see the Mage come up against the Druid. And looking at Raven's hand, this is going to be Tempo Mage, and I like Raven's chances in this matchup already. It's a deck that Druid can struggle with.
Of course. So let's see the player's hand, and okay. So we have Mage for Raven, and we have Druid for Zetalot. So let's head straight into the game, and it's gonna be what seems like Tempo Mage. So, what do you think of the opening hands?
Looking at Ravens, he's got quite a solid early curve going on here. He's got that Flame Walker early, which is always great, but Zetalot has a Wild Growth. Wild Growth is one of those cards that Druid wants straight away, and it's what helps it win. But his other cards are a bit slow. So even Raven drops a well played there with the Wild Growth. That Science is a really good draw as well.
Like, I almost every time I hear this, I laugh out loud. Like, what's a good Druid player? The one who has Wild Growth on there too, and it's basically true. Like, right now, Zetalot is gonna be playing a way different game. Like, Raven because next turn, if Raven doesn't play this mirror image, then Zetalot can go ahead, crash his Shade into the Mad Scientist, steal the secret with the Kizan Mystic, and still be fine. Although I don't know if Zetalot, like if Zetalot thinks that his opponent is on something like Freeze Mate, he might want to, wait a little bit on.
It really depends on what Raven does here. Arcane Intellect doesn't give enough information to Zetalot to decide what mage deck he's playing, which is why I quite like it here. He had a bit of an awkward play there. He had the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but with no spell to really use off it. Whereas the Flamewalker, you want to let him use the next turn with the Mirror Image, so he just gets those 2 pings. But one of the big cards that's going to be in this match is Keza Mystic, because Mirror Entity is such a big tempo swing against Druid, because a lot of their minions are quite high value. So depending on how Mirror Entity interacts with this game will very much depend on how much favor Raven will get. But that Kezin's going to change things.
Yeah, of course, and we have seen this in the previous match, like Kezan Mystic playing a very important role at, dictating the pace of the game and making for a huge, tempo swing. Like the card was actually designed, it either is mediocre or it does everything for you. And I do believe in matchups like that, it is gonna do everything for the player.
And there it is. Steals that Mirror Entity.
That's actually pretty huge.
And then the Kezan comes down, stealing it back. Wow. And he gets the Mirror Entity as well. I'd definitely play it. I like a little bit of exchange, a bit of role playing going on between these two players. Keep it fun.
I mean, if you don't have fun playing, then why play at all? So, let's see at the moment, as we have a pretty developed mate board. The secret we know to be Mirror Entity, and both players do as well. So, if you're Zetalot, you do not want to play your Sylvanas into Mirror Entity, but at the same time, you have to do something about your opponent's board. I don't know, it's a very difficult turn. Like, you want to play Keeper of the Groove just to give your opponent a bad minion to copy with, with Mirror Entity, but at the same time, I'm not really sure that you're gonna have, many turns following that.
Yeah, it's awkward. I mean, he's got the thing is, having to clean up those mirror images just didn't let him trade, and it didn't let him start controlling the board. He had to punch with some some taunts that really weren't doing a lot apart from setting up a wall. They have no real threat. They just make things awkward. And now, if I was Raven, I mean,
bold face, I would.
Yeah, low feb is low feb protect your board, but not only that. So your opponent plays a keeper to soak up your Mirror Entity, which for me would question what else does he have in his hand, and this is why I like this play, because you get to get more value from this Mirror Entity. If your opponent was willing to throw a keeper away to ping a 0/2 taunt, he must have high value cards in his hand, which is what he didn't want to play. So I like this play because I like getting Mirror Entity down now, and it might limit what your opponent can do or develop more power on your board for you. So it's great.
So let's see right now, as apparently, there's a merit to actually playing Lothar in the following turn, but the thing is, if you set a lot, you're basically gonna give away one of your minions, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna be giving away that Ancient of Lore because Lothar is pretty important. Sylvanas, you do not want to give your opponent that, and you still have double Innervate in your hand, which makes it really good. I don't know if you want to play a Pirate Shredder of that, and Zetalot seems to be thinking that's the correct play, so he's gonna go for it, and gonna pass the turn back. This is pretty much anybody's game, and both players are fighting.
My spectators crashed. I saw the Ancient of Lore being played, and then I didn't see the copy, so... Yeah, he definitely wants to build more of a board here. I definitely consider playing those Innovates and dropping that Shredder. That's what I could see he had. Oh, it's actually Alex's turn for me. Okay, so he does actually go with the double Innovate and the Shredder. He leaves a 5/5 on Alex's board. Lothar comes down here, gets a lockout any potential removal or any early combo, and it looks like he's going to play more aggressively with that fireball in hand.
Yeah, of course, and I do think Raven has taken the lead here because there is no, no possible spell that can put Zetalot in a commanding spot. Like, you can play, I guess, an Ancient of War would be good, in order to stop the damage coming from your opponent's side, but that would be it basically, and Zetalot doesn't have a lot of time. That's the main issue here, and I don't know, like, it's very difficult. You might want to gamble a little bit on your Pilot Shredder to give you something good, but I just cannot see a way for Zetalot to be alive in the next, 2 to 3 turns. Seeing how this matchup played out. Like, we even see an Arcane Intellect in Raven's hands, so even if he uses that, that Fireball just to get some damage through, he can reload his hand, so pretty hard stuff. And there we see...
The rope is going down, he's got some decisions to make here.
Yeah, I would play Lotheb, and I would feel good about it. And he's gonna go face. Oh. There we see an Antonida, so I expect that we're gonna see a Yeti after the ping. No reason not to. And so the Wild Pyromancer is gonna be the 2-drop of choice, for 2-drop that's gonna come down from the Pilot Shredder. Raven's gonna play that Yeti, and it's gonna give him a spare part to go along with his Antonidas. He doesn't go face. He takes care of the Wild Pyromancer, respecting the combo that the Druid has. And yeah, this stage in the game, how do you see this game going? Like, do you think Zetalot can make a comeback here based on Raven's hand?
The emergency coolant in his hand is really good. It's really going to help him secure the win here. But it looks like Zetalot has emergency coolant himself, so he's not going to be able to get that 5 damage in this turn. I don't know if Raven is going to... Raven might opt to fight for a bit of board here before playing this Antonidas. He does have that Arcane Intellect to kind of recharge his hand. And he just want to be able to give him Antonidas so freely with Sylvanas.
I mean, you can go Antonidas, Antonidas use cooldown on Sylvanas, ping... Oh no, you don't have enough mana to ping. I mean, yeah, I guess there's a merit into drawing more cards first, but you definitely want to... that changes things. So you're gonna freeze Sylvanas, then you might as well ping Lotheb and pass the turn north at the mirror. There we see... Okay, this was a sequencing error. Yeah, lol. I don't know. I really like the new skins, the new heroes animation. I haven't seen them in play for that much time, so all the emotes that they have seem new to me.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But I think the line of play he's gone with this is he's got Antonidas Counterspell as his kind of activator for Antonidas, and he kind of protects himself from any big combos, and this way he develops a more threatening board as well. So you may get some removal wasted here. You either went with Antonidas and... Well, you couldn't have, because you can't ping. You needed to ping that turn. It's a shame he didn't build up that mana worm a bit more. It would have just added a bit more pressure.
Yeah, so let's see. I don't know, if it's Zetalot, you can use Wrath to take care of the Ancient. You can use Savagor to do it. I mean, you do not feel well doing this, but I guess you don't have any other choice. And you're gonna take care of the buffed Mana Worm and use Wrath to take care of the Ancient of Lore. And that should do it. And on Raven's turn...
So what's interesting here, he gets the Unstable Portal Antonidas if he wants it, but I guess my issue is that Sylvanas is still around, so I would even considering Fireball in this turn. Maybe running the 1/3 into Sylvanas Fireball on it. And the next turn, you can set up, say, Antonidas Counterspell.
I mean, if you go Antonidas Counterspell at the moment, then you're basically guaranteed lethal damage next turn.
Unless that card shows up.
Yeah. But you already saw one, so it was a pretty valid play. You know, you saw Lotheb and you saw an Ancient of Lore, so I guess it was justified to go for it. And you do not know if that is a mirror entity as well. And you know there's double Fireball in your opponent's hand, so I guess you will be forced to play that Ancient of Lore. But even if you do, then that means that you still have a 50-50 chance to not get Archmage.
Yeah,
So...
I think the issue here is, I mean, he made the play that won him the game. But the problem is, he's going to lose his Antonidas, and he's going to be able to heal. It depends what he draws. I think the mage is still in a good spot here. Because of that, just because of that counter spell, really, because the Savage Roar is going to stop a lot. And we've had 2 mirror entities already, so is that a lot that's going to know? Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on?
I think my client backed on me, so I guess Zetalot is going to heal himself and pass the turn, and gonna have to reconnect.
No, that's not enough. A Frostbolt comes off the top for that Raven here, and Raven's going to take the first game. You know, Temple Mage is an interesting deck. It can kind of go a lot of different ways of how you build it. Some play Rag, some don't, some play more aggressive. So Temple Mage is one of those aggro decks that can almost borderline on mid-range as well. So, you know, it's an interesting deck that can be teched out in different ways. So, yeah, so Raven takes it.
I mean, it's that, you know, Tempo Mage is the definition of a mid-range deck. Like, like the universal problem every mid-range deck has in all of the card games is if your curve starts with something like a Mana Wyrm, you know, small guys to follow up, and then you're into a good spot. If your curve starts with something like a 4-drop, and, you know, something cute, then you have a problem. This didn't happen, and Raven was able to get the win. And we're already going into the next game. We're going to have Warlock versus Hunter. And what do you say about this?
Well, I don't know if we know what Warlock this is yet with that mulligan. It could be Handlock, it could be Mallylock. As for the Hunter, it looks like Raven's gone for a hybrid Hunter here. We saw an Abusive Sergeant, she had a Leponome, so... And as you can see, all of his cards are gold, so Hunter is definitely his class here.
I mean, it's really interesting at this stage in the game, and we have Mallylock for Zetalot, so it's gonna be Mallylock versus Hybrid Hunter. This is gonna be very interesting, and I'm not really big on Malygos Rogue. Malygos Warlock. I haven't played the deck, so who do you think is favorite here?
I would just say the Hunter for its sheer speed, especially Hybrid Hunter. Unlike Handlock, you don't have the fear of a big taunt wall from Molten Giants, so that's one thing you eliminate straight away. But Mallylock is a deck I don't play personally. My teammates play it. I prefer Handlock, Zoo. They're kind of my more preferred Warlock decks. But it's been having a lot of success in the competitive circuit. A lot of pro players are picking it up. So I'm going to call it just for the Hunter, just because of how aggressive it is. But there's a heal bot there. It can swing either way, really. Depends how much pressure Raven can keep up here.
And yeah, for sure, that's one of the things that's actually very important. Like, if you are the hunter, no matter what kind of hunter you're playing, you need to be able to, as you said, keep up the pressure, make sure that you do not waste turns. Like, it's very important. If you miss a crucial, you know, third or fourth turn, you can get easily. You can fall back very easily. So it's actually really important to not miss any turns. So let's see. Do you know? Do you have any percentages on this matchup, like regarding as to, you know, the outcome? You know, any numbers on Mallylock's win percentage, basically? Because I'm really unfamiliar with the deck. I haven't had the chance to play with it a lot.
I'm like I said, I'm kind of the same. It's a deck I haven't played. It's a deck that's, like I said, being favored in the competitive community at the moment. It is undoubtedly a strong deck. It has a lot of strengths. I find if I play Hunter, I generally win against Marley Lock unless they get some really good swinging like taunt walls, like because they do generally run like one Argus or one Belcher, but their taunts are very limited. But looking at the way Raven's going here, I mean, his start is so good, very aggressive, and Zealot's answers are not pretty. He gets Healbot Molten here, Mortal Call here, if he wants. But if Raven can keep drawing into this pressure, it's looking really good for him.
I mean, there we see the healbot for Zed a lot, and he's gonna go face with his Blackwing Corruptor, which is very correct at this stage in the game. And Raven actually has reached the point where those are the quote unquote dead turns that we're talking about. Like he cannot use any of his Iron Big Owls, and no, he's gonna play one just to have the board presence, and he's gonna use Steady Shot for 2. And
I'd like to apologize because this is not actually Hybrid Hunter. If you look at the trap,
okay, it's an oh, this
double
Face
owl
Hunter.
and explosive. Yeah, it's Face Hunter.
Yeah,
it's not
Face Hunter. Okay, so that
this
makes
is very unlike Raven to play. Like so, maybe he's trying to play some mind games with that a lot here.
I mean, this just became a very difficult game for Raven if it's actually Face Hunter, because that means that his opponent has a lot of life to play with, and you know, 15 is not a lot if your opponent has 2 cards, but those 2 cards are not that good. And there we see Defender of Argus for Zed a lot, and an Arcane Golem is the draw for Raven. You do not want to use Arcane Golem at the moment. It's gonna be Iron Big. Okay.
You know, this owl is gonna work out for him really well. It's lucky he kind of had the 2 because he had to play one for tempo earlier. And you know, Raven's still putting on the pressure here. You know, that healbot's been used up. He's gonna have to find another one, and he's got that Arcane Golem sitting there, ready to deal some burst damage. But the one card that really concerns me in Raven's hand here is a coin. He hasn't used it yet. He's playing an aggressive deck. He needed to have used that a lot longer. No, a lot earlier, sorry. You had to use that a lot earlier to kind of utilize its power, or the power of the coin in general in an aggressive deck, but he just didn't have the opportunity, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's see at the moment, as yeah, Zetlet's gonna try to trade as much as possible. He's using his Azure Drake instead of the Emperor. That is because he doesn't have any card to reduce the cost of like a Soulfire or a Dark Bomb, and he seems to be in a pretty commanding spot at the moment. Let's see, as Raven, he's gonna play Leper Gnome. He's using his hero power every turn at this point in the game, and I'm not really sure he doesn't want to play that Arcane Golem, apparently.
Yeah, you don't want to give the Malilok an extra mana. I mean, you'll be able to play Malagos Soulfire, and that could potentially snag him the win with the power he's got on board, so he's kind of playing around that. And Arcane Golem's just going to be the finisher here, so he's just going to save it for that purpose alone. And looking at Zealot's hand, he still doesn't have enough damage to beat Raven yet, and he may have to tap to get that heal bot to be able to top himself back up.
Let's see at the moment. This is actually really hard because you know your opponent still has a coin, and you know your opponent has something in his hand which is probably dead. So I'm assuming it's either, if I'm Zetalot, I'm assuming it's either, you know, a minion like Arcane Golem or something like Knife Juggler maybe. And I am not really sure how Zetalot wants to approach this. If he does nothing, there's lethal on the you know, on Raven's next turn. So
yeah, I mean, this Arcane Golem's just been kept to save, just saved to finish up the game, and Raven's going to take a 2-0 lead over Zetalot here. Playing 2 very aggressive decks straight from the get-go. I mean, Raven does experiment with a lot of different decks. Mid-range Hunter is definitely his strongest deck and his specialty. So it was interesting to see him play this more aggressive mage. Hunter, sorry. So Zealot's 2-0 down. He's still got all his classes yet. He still has. Let's have a look. He still has Warrior, Druid, Warlock, and Hunter. Whereas Raven only has available to him now is Rogue and Warlock. So we might see another aggressive deck come from Raven in maybe a mid zoo. We don't know.
Yeah.
You can surprise us. What do you expect from Zetalot in this now? He's used 2 different decks.
Zetalot has used his Warlock and his sorry. He has used his No, he hasn't used his Warrior yet, right? I'm expecting Warrior at this stage in the game.
Do you think it's gonna be Control or
I'm thinking that most likely it's gonna be Patron. Like,
oh, he doesn't opt for the Warrior. Actually, he's opted for the Druid here. Gonna try and get another win. Well, not another. Sorry, a win with that. It was Spo who was so successful with his Druid. This rogue list is one Asmo and Raven, and I think Mr. Yagut was playing.
Okay.
Using these Goblin Auto Barbers, kind of like early tempo, but also kind of help with some trading with the weapon. I did try it out. I didn't really like it that much. I preferred more traditional oil rogue lists. But Raven has stuck with it, and it'll probably be a bit of a surprise for Zetalot unless he knows Raven plays a specific type of oil rogue.
Okay, so let's see us. We see a Goblin Auto Barber in Raven's hand, so I'm really interested to see how good the Auto Barber is. As you said, I had a pretty, similar experience. Like, I'm not that much of a fan of, Goblin Auto Barber, but I don't know. Maybe in this kind of matchup, do you know if they play the big weapon Assassin's Blade?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, so it makes sense if you equip an Assassin's Blade, maybe you play an Auto Barber after that. But I'm not really sure how good this is. Like, let's see, judging on the player's hand. Oh, okay. We're gonna probably see Innervate into something, then Pile Shredder into something else. Classic Druid deck playing out all his stuff at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. I would like to save Lofab for a bit later here, because we're not quite at sprint prep turn, but Raven does have a coin, so maybe Zetalot's thinking here, if he plays a Lofab now, there's no chance of coin sprint prep if he wants to play that. But the Lofab ends up being a bit lackluster here, and he just drops the Auto Barber. So it's unfortunate, didn't really do a lot.
Let's see, so there's gonna be Pilot Shredder, and Lothab is gonna go face, which I expect to be the correct play. I'm more of a fan of playing Druid of the Claw, but since your opponent has the coin, he might have been able to, deal with it with... Actually, only backstab into Eviscerate was a play that could get him back into the game, but I guess Lothab is fine right now. You're not really happy about having to play Lothab, but I guess it's good. So there we see the Deadly Poison and going into Blade Flurry, and apparently the Goblin Auto Barber, getting the spell power damage up, it's pretty good at this stage in the game.
Yeah, Raven going for that big board clear there. He did use a lot of resources to deal with that board, but his board was a lot weaker than the Druids, and the Druids always going to kind of outvalue with their minions especially at this point in the game. This is the strong part of the Druid's game, but he's going to need to draw some more stuff here. Maybe an Eviscerate will help him out. Maybe even a sprint and a prep along the lines. But he does have some minions to keep some board. But right now, his board's going to get cleared up pretty easily as well, because like I said, it was quite weak in comparison to the Druids at the time.
Like, I'm pretty sure at this stage in the game, Raven is in a pretty good spot, because not only is he going to get 2 cards deeper into his deck, but he can set up a pretty nice turn with, Violet Itcher and the Dagger, or maybe, oh, okay, I guess this will do, like Goblin Auto Barber into a Dagger. I always find it so awkward with Goblin Auto Barber. Like, I for sure thought this was going to be a Violet Teacher turn. But I guess, Raven has other plans for how he wants to approach this matchup. But Zetalot is just gonna play Druid of the Claw, he's gonna charge it, and he's gonna trade, okay. And Raven's gonna have a very nice turn here if he wants to use that Deadly Poison in conjunction with the SI agent. He's gonna take care of what's left of the Druid of the Claw. Would you use the dagger here?
No, not yet. You're waiting for a Tinkers. And, I find that cat play quite interesting. I think it played around Sap, which was pretty good in the end because Raven actually top decked the Sap, so it would have been awkward for him. And it looks like he's just going to go for the Sap play on the Boom here. And usually you don't want to give more Boom bots, but looking at Raven's hand, he doesn't really have a lot going on, so he kind of needs to take the initiative here and now start putting this Druid, more pressure on this Druid, and try and make him play a bit more reactively.
Oh, there we see a Mind Control deck coming out of Zetalot's deck. And it's actually really interesting because, as you said, you do not want to sap a Doctor Boom, but the thing is, while there's a Violet Teacher on the board, like the Violent Apprentices can absorb, enough damage at this point where you can justify that play. And here we have a swipe from Zetalot, and he's gonna try to finish off his opponent's minions with the Boom bots. He doesn't get in, and he makes it so that the board is empty. Do you throw down the Mind Control deck? I guess you do.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah.
Your opportunity for Mind Control tech is kind of gone now. That Violent Teacher being taken out. Violent Teacher is a card that only tends to have one player these days. Pilot Shredder seem to be the preferred card. I think it's mainly because of Patron. Patron interacts with Violet Teacher so well for the Warrior, it's not really worth risking it, but it still has its uses against other decks like Druid, for example, and other like aggro decks. It's very good at keeping some tempo with those minions as you generate them. But he decides to go face with the weapon here. I think I like that play mainly because of the sprint prep draw. Sprint is going to let him draw into more damaging options. So maybe he'll pick up another Eviscerate here. Maybe he'll pick up a Tinkers. And it forces Zetalot to deal with this Azure Drake because he's got to protect his health now.
Yeah, I do actually really agree with this. Like, because Zetalot is at such low health, this is usually the spot where you don't want to be when you're facing Grog. Like, because your opponent hasn't played any sprints, your opponent still has Eviscerates in his deck, he still hasn't used any of his oils, so at this stage in the game, if you're Zetalot, you cannot be feeling well about what your opponent has. You can use the combo in order to get rid of whatever your opponent has on the board. Maybe you risk it and you just go face, but I'm not really sure that's what you would like to do, so Zetalot is going to take care of the Azure Drake. He's going to go face with the rest of the guys, and there we see Assassin's Blade coming off the top deck for Raven. So, do you like prep sprint into Assassin's Blade or whatever else you draw? I guess that's the play, right?
Yeah, you definitely sprint first. You just want to see what other options. I mean, you drew that Tinkers as well. And another prep, so...
Okay, so Healbot plus... prep into just Healbot plus is
yeah. Does Healbot save you from the combo though?
It's 22 plus combo is 20 damage, so
yeah, protects from the combo. He sets up a creature for the Assassin's Blade, and again still puts Zetalot on the defensive here. I think you just attack with the dagger here and wait for next turn and get to play the Assassin's Blade Tinkers combo. But the only problem is you may not have lethal just yet.
Yeah, of course. And
this 3/3 is going to get dealt with without a doubt.
I mean, if you Zetalot, you might as well go ahead and play Dr. Boom and Wrath and go face with the Panther at this stage in the game.
Yeah, take the more aggressive approach. I mean, Zetalot's got to find a way to win this game. He can play as reactive and as defensive as he wants, but playing the Boom here, wrapping that, just going face, and you just got to hope now from this. You just got to hope this Rogue hasn't got enough damage to finish you off. It's not hard for a Rogue to find that much damage.
Like, the thing is, at this stage in the game, if you're a Zetalot, you're basically playing to win, not playing to survive. Like, even if you play defensively, Rock has so many ways to, bypass taunts and whatnot. So I really agree with Zetalot's line of thought. Even though he's gonna lose this game because there is double, he's gonna lose this game, but this is gonna happen on the next turn because there is a sap, there is double Tinker's Oil, and that Loatheb prevents the use of pretty much anything. Let's see if Raven wants to use sap as well in this turn. So
Yeah, he's just trying to protect himself. He could have saved the prep for the Tinkers, but he only needs to draw an Eviscerate now, really, to close it up.
Let's see, at this stage, he's gonna hit his opponent's face for one. Since next turn there's gonna be double Tinker's Oil, and Zetalot not drawing anything that can save him, so he has to. Basically, the Doombots have to save him. So let's see. Zetalot needs a tad bit of RNG at this stage in the game. I do not know if he's playing. Do you know if he's playing any heal bots or whatnot?
I haven't got the clue, unfortunately. Yeah, this is tough. I don't think he just needs to kind of go with the boombots and see what they do first before playing, I think.
Like, he can go ahead and attack Drake with one of the bots, and I guess you can play Azure Drake first, but okay, okay, and that works as well. But oh, that sucks. And now there is actually no way that you can stay in this game, I guess. So he's gonna play Boom, hope his opponent doesn't have anything. And
hope that rogue doesn't have all that damage it has.
Yeah. I mean, this is the only, choice that he has, and he realizes that, unfortunately, it's not gonna work out for him. And Raven is just gonna stick it in, like, play the double Tinker's Oil. I had all of this, and yeah, this is gonna do it. And Raven is gonna take this game, and we are right now. It's 1 game to Raven and 2 games to Zetalot. Is that correct?
No, Zetalot hasn't won a game at all.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
You're thinking of Spo. You're thinking of Spo.
Yeah.
It's 3-0 to Raven right now.
Yeah. Had a really long day. That's why I had to rush back home from work, so it was kind of bad. And okay, so let's see. As this is the last. This is the only class from Raven that we haven't seen, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the Warlock.
Yeah. It's the Warlock. It seems to be Demon Zoo, mid-range Warlock, however you want to call it. It's gonna go up against Zetalot's Maligos Warlock, so it's actually gonna be Zoo, okay, mid-range Zoo, let's say. And who do you think is favored? Because there are apparently no giants at Zetalot's list, so it's gonna be really hard to stabilize this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the Maligos has a lot of ways to deal with these starts. He's got a Hellfire in hand, he's got a Dart Bomb. Dart Bomb's quite important to its win condition, but when you're fighting a deck as aggressive as this, you kind of have to use it as a resource of dealing with the aggression. Raven's hand now is looking a bit iffy. I mean, his first 2 plays are excellent, but if he starts drawing into those power cards like Mal'Ganis and Void Caller, things can really swing out of control for the Zoo player. And this is what makes this deck so powerful. I mean, Zoo, before all this demon stuff started coming in, was strong anyway. But then you start throwing in 9/7s that buff your minions and Sea Giants and all that nonsense. It just makes it such a powerhouse of a deck that can swing games with these big power plays that some classes just can't deal with. But Maligos's one of them that can. He's got 2 big game hunters, Hellfire, Shadow Flames. He's got options. So I think it's going to go back and forth. And if Raven can find the tempo, if he can keep the board, he will certainly win. If this Maligos can hold off and start playing those power cards before Raven does, I think Zetalot could take this.
Okay, so right now we see Raven going on the offensive. He's gonna play abusive swords and buff his imp and hit his opponent's face. And interesting thing that Zetalot decided to use Dark Bomb instead of the Iron Beak Owl. I would have liked to see the Iron Beak Owl just because that would mean that his opponent was gonna play more minions on the board, and then maybe you could get him with Hellfire. But Zetalot will keep on drawing cards. And apparently, this implosion is gonna make for a very nice turn 4. I know he's gonna coin out a zombie, so okay. So that's still correct, I guess. And we will see an Im Gang boss in the Void Watcher, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. Yeah, you definitely want the zombie chow out now. You want to be able to contest his imp. This Void Walker is actually pretty good. You might end up implosioning that, actually. Because he can't trade into the Void Walker just yet, but he does go for the Imp. I may have considered going for the Void Walker there, and then you could have run the Zombie Chow into the Flame Imp, and you would have dealt with 2 minions. But it's still a gamble. You're still rolling the dice on how many Imps, and unless you're 6, so you're not going to guarantee to get 4 all the time. So
yeah, I guess. The thing is that there was a 33% chance that you would have gotten 2, but I guess that was a valid play as well. But I guess he took, the more sure line of play. And I guess he's in a pretty good spot right now, so it's paying out for him really well. And yeah, let's see.
So you either taunt up here or you Hellfire. So you run your Zombie Chow into the Imp and you Hellfire. But Hellfire will take you down to 9, which is if a Doomguard comes down, it's just going to be really tough to fight back. Argus creates two tokens which can trade, but the in-game boss Taunted is just creating a bit of trouble here because he's got 1/1s and he's got nothing over 2 power really that can do anything. So he's going to be making a lot of tokens, which is just going to hurt that a lot. Well, he's very low already, so yeah, it's just going to be unfortunate. So he's doing. He's going to play the Hellfire. So he's doing this so no tokens are spawned after the Hellfire. Very smart line of play here.
He's making sure that there's no room for them. So okay, and that's going to be the stabilizing move for Zetalot, and let's see if Raven can find himself a really nice big threat to play. He just has a Haunted Creeper, buys the turn back to Zetalot, and this Void Terror, if he decides to go with the power of Overwhelming into the Void Terror in the next turn, there's a big game hunter, 2 big game hunter in Zetalot's hand waiting for him, and picks up an Implosion, and he's gonna use Implosion first. Gets 3, and I'm guessing that he's gonna go ahead and use Void Terror. Right now, he gets a 5/6, and that looks to be pretty threatening at this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Raven has seen a Hellfire, and he knows it's Malilock, and they only run 1 generally, so